Hi, Gene Burnett from GeneBurnett.com here with another Tai Chi tip today. Today I thought I'd talk a little bit about what I think good Tai Chi should have. Every style of Tai Chi has its own opinions or ideas about the best way to embody what I consider a universal principle, this harmony of yin and yang energy, this underlying balance in the universe. Every teacher within every style has their own take. So there's a lot of disagreements among Tai Chi people. The joke is, how many Tai Chi people does it take to screw in a light bulb? Two, one to screw it in and the other one to say, interesting, but in our style we do it a little differently. So I'm just going to give you my take today, strictly from my experience. It's not written in stone, and I'm sure some of you may disagree, and I'd love to hear your comments. But I'm going to try to just go through some of these points, see if I can remember all the ones that I was thinking about today. The first one is that, to me, really good Tai Chi should not have a sense of dogma about it. In other words, like, it should not look like this form is absolutely what the Tai Chi is. In the teaching of it and in the training of it, the more there's an emphasis on this is the true style, the ultimate style, the one that's the most pure, that came from this or that lineage, the more it's sort of by the book, to me, the less it embodies Tai Chi, which is, again, this universal principle of balance of yin and yang. It should be based on principle, not based on a particular form. So I try to think of Tai Chi as a work in progress. It's an ongoing, it's an ongoing effort to embody these principles, and I'm always researching and I'm always learning, and my form's always changing because of that. When it has a dogmatic, I've got it in this bottle and everything else is crap, this is the true, the light way, then I feel like it loses something vital that Tai Chi should have, in my opinion. Tai Chi should have good alignment. In other words, your legs should be aligned with your foot. Your knees should be aligned with your foot. There should not be twisting. You should not see the foot wobbling on the ground like this. It should have a sense of alignment there. The pelvis should be relatively level. It may distort or move within a given motion, but it should always be returning to level. The spine should always be returning to upright. Even though you may distort it in a movement, it comes back to upright. Shoulders down, arms soft and relaxed. You shouldn't see the chest out like this. There's always a sense of kind of pulling back the vulnerable organs just a little bit. A sense of roundness everywhere. So it shouldn't have a twisty feeling like that. You see that a lot in what I would call bad Tai Chi. Things turn and you see this, the root is twisted. So it should have good alignment. It should also have relaxation. The movement should look relaxed and comfortable. The movement should not look rigid and held and precise and like you're in a robot. It shouldn't look robotic, or like you're in a kind of a rigid play where your role is to do absolutely this and nothing else. It should have an element of softness and relaxation, kind of a sense of comfort. The movement should look comfortable. Even if you're on one leg, you should look comfortable. You should have this feeling like, sure, I can move, I can go anywhere, I can move. So it should have a relaxed, heavy, kind of a soft, downward feeling, and a kind of a flow between the movements. It should look relaxed and comfortable. And Tai Chi should also have a quality of being grounded. In other words, the person doing it should feel like they're sort of connected to the ground. So it's not only good posture, and it's not only relaxed, but it's springy. There's a sense of coiled, springy energy in the legs, and a sense of groundedness, as opposed to floating upwards. If the movement has this kind of like, I'm up here, I don't think of that as good Tai Chi because it's so out of balance. One thing about Tai Chi is basically you're just reining in extremes. If you're not going to any extremes, you're probably pretty close to balance and pretty close to Tai Chi. So it should have a sense of being grounded and connected, rooted to the earth. There's also a sense in which the joints are suspended. So if the movement has got good posture but it's kind of rigid, it might look like that. If I'm relaxed but I don't have my joints suspended, it may be very flowing and soft, but it has this kind of limp, draggy quality to it. What I want is my joints to be suspended. So when the joints are suspended, you're not a bunch of sticks and you're not a bunch of ropes. It's like you're a bunch of snakes. So the joints, each joint has a little bit of motion in it, and each joint has a little bit of a feeling of being suspended, like it's being held up from above. It's still heavy, it's still relaxed, it's still aligned, but there's this slight amount of motion there. In some schools, there's not supposed to be any motion in the joint, so it's got this kind of, if you hold a position, it's supposed to be like a picture. And when I hold a position, I think it should have a little bit of motion in it, just like trees, just like the ocean. Never completely still, always in at least a little bit of motion. So I like to, one thing I think Tai Chi should have is those nice, soft, suspended joints. Some overall qualities, there should be a sense of balance in that you should see yin and yang. If you see someone doing Tai Chi and there's no softness to what they're doing, every movement has a hardness quality to it. It may be firm, it may be relaxed, it may be strong, but if there's no softness at all, then I can't say it's good Tai Chi. Just like if you see nothing but softness, and it's got this kind of empty, kind of drained quality, and there's nothing firm, then again, it's not in balance. So you want to see firmness and softness. You want to see listening, and you want to see a willingness to act. You want to see mobility, the ability to move around and move in space, but you also want to see a rooted, stable, powerful connection to the ground. So you want to see the balance of stability and mobility, acting and listening, power and defense. You want to see balance in everything that the person is doing if it's good Tai Chi, because Tai Chi means balance, essentially. You also want to see a kind of responsiveness. You want to feel as though, or at least I want to feel when I'm watching someone do Tai Chi, that even though they're doing this form, that they could just walk out of the form. That it has a quality of being able to respond. Even if you're on one leg in some position here, I want to feel like I can kick that way. Here, you can go in any direction and go any, the way a snake is responsive. It's like looking, it's not stuck in a groove. So you want to see not only a sense of balance, but a sense of responsiveness. Like this person could deal with with the next thing that happens. So those are some key points. Another thing that I like to see is a ripple of power. I want to see that movement is rooted in the feet. I want to see the leg do the powering. I want to see the waist add or direct that, and I want to see it ripple out to the arm. So I always want to see this ripple. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see everything moving at the same time. I want to see that. So it's almost like breakdancing, especially in the solo form. In the solo form, you're really working on, my opinion anyway, you're working on that ripple and training that ground to hand, and then reversing that ripple when you soften and relax or coil, it goes the other way and through. Eventually you learn to conceal that ripple, and so the ripple can be almost invisible, and maybe the hand is the first thing to move, but the ripple catches up to it so that when you meet it, it's firm. But you want to see that ripple, or I want to see that ripple. Another thing that I think good Tai Chi should have is a sense of going in and out of the ground, so that you go into the ground, out of the ground, back into the ground. And that means there's going to be a little bit of a rise and fall with each movement. It's going to have, if my arm's coming up, my leg is going to help it. If my arm's going down, my legs are going to help it. Right? If I'm going to punch, my leg's going to help it land like that. There's a sense of connecting this rising and falling piston-like power of the legs with circular upper body strikes and defensive movements and stuff. So there has to be a rise and fall in the movement. Just like when you throw a ball. Sink, rise, sink. So every sport has this. You can't think of a sport that doesn't have a rise and fall in it, because you've got to convert this to that, right? You're hitting the ball. You don't just stand there level. So some styles of Tai Chi, they won't let you rise and fall. So I would say that was a detriment. Also, you want to see acceleration and deceleration. You want to see a sense of coiling, which accelerates and then decelerates. And then a sense of issuing, which is accelerates and then decelerates. There's this moment of stop, right? Same with the punch. You don't just go one speed. It's not just one speed, it's boom. So there's a sense of acceleration and deceleration in every movement. That's, again, something that some styles prohibit, which again, I think it's to their detriment. I think that training that rise and fall and training that acceleration and deceleration is really good for maintaining balance and responsiveness and all those good Tai Chi principles that I also like to see. Another thing you want to see, or I want to see, is a sense of the frame expanding and then contracting. So it's the actual size of the frame of the body. It can get very small, and then it can get big, and then small, and then big. And it's also in the joints themselves. There's a sense of the joints closing, and then the sense of the joints opening. So there's a expansion and contraction within the joints and within the frame as well. There should be this sense of breathing the form. The movements cause the body to expand and contract. Again, some styles prohibit that, but that's something that I think good Tai Chi needs to have. And then, let's see, the ripple, rise and fall, expansion and contraction, acceleration, deceleration, and the movement should have a natural quality. The form should not feel or look like it's something formal or apart from everyday life. The martial artists that I enjoy watching the most are the most natural and comfortable and relaxed. It's not like you're going to get in a fight with someone and go, oh, you know, like jump into some stance and do some movie stuff on them. In real life too, whether you're dealing with strikes or pushes or whatever, it could be just the pushes that life gives you. It could just be the bad phone call or trouble in your personal life. In general, it's just going to come when you're in the middle of your life. It's not going to come when you're all geared up and in a perfect stance to receive what life has to give you. So there's a sense in which you want to be responsive and ready, and that it should look natural and comfortable. So when someone's doing the Tai Chi movement, it should have a natural quality to it. It should just be relaxed and comfortable. I like the person could just stop and talk to you. The more it looks formal, like I'm doing this mystical art, to me that just, it's more about the form, and it looks like the body is being made to do this. Tai Chi to me should look more and more and more natural. Everybody has their own body type, their own talents, their own reasons for doing this. The form should be a way to learn, but the Tai Chi itself should be a relationship between these principles and your particular body, your talents, your interests. So the form should look more and more natural and more like you being natural, not like my natural. My natural has a certain look. I'm a certain height. I have a certain history. I have certain injuries. I have certain conditions. So do you. So the Tai Chi should look more and more personal. When I see a whole bunch of people doing a form and it's absolutely identical, like that's not something I want to see. I don't want to see 20,000 people doing the form exactly the same, because that means they're adhering to a form, which is a nice training step, but you want to start by adhering to that form, then you want to relax into that form. Then you want to just refer to that form, and then you want to toss the form, because it's embodied in you. These forms come from a spontaneous embodiment of these movements. No one decided to invent the form. They did something natural. Someone else said, how did you do that? And they said, well, let me make a form and teach you how to do it. Or they watched animals, which are formless. You know, you can say there's a stork form, but the stork didn't study stork form. The stork just is being a stork. And we look at it and go, oh, look at the strikes and stuff. So we make up a form as a way of learning. But a form is a learning tool. It's not the Tai Chi itself. So the more natural and comfortable it looks, the better. So just to review, these are my preferences. This is what I think good Tai Chi should have. It shouldn't be dogmatic and rigid and like, you know, attached to a certain Bible, a specific way of doing things. There should be good alignment. The movement should be relaxed and comfortable. The movement should be grounded and connected to the earth. There should be a sense of suspension and a slight amount of movement in the joints. There should be a sense of balance embodied and shown in everything that the person's doing. There should be responsiveness, like within that balance the person can respond and go in any direction. There should be a ripple of power that you can see from the ground to the hand and then back again. There should be a rise and fall in every movement. There should be an opening and closing in every movement. There should be a deceleration and acceleration in every movement. And above all, it should look natural and it should look comfortable. And already I'm feeling myself saying the word should, and I'm thinking I shouldn't even be doing that. I'm just talking about what I like to see. So these are things that I like to see. For me to say, that's good Tai Chi, it should have these things. That's a more qualified version of it. I'm sure that there's other opinions, and everybody's welcome to their opinion. This is just how I teach and the way that I do it. So thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. If you like this, subscribe to my channel. rate my video, thumbs up. Visit my website, geneburnett.com. I do a lot of music videos, Tai Chi videos, and nature videos, and even the occasional humor video here on YouTube. So I appreciate you watching, and have a great day, and practice, practice, practice.